Welcome to Glisso English. Real life stories.
Imagine giving your very last $100 to a friend who is desperate. You eat cheap food all weekend just to survive. Then Monday comes, no text, no money. But you open Instagram and see them posting photos of a $90 steak dinner. What would you do? In today's story, The Borrowed Money, we are going to look at a massive real-life betrayal. At the same time, you are going to learn advanced English idioms for talking about money, boundaries, and what happens when a friendship gets pushed to the limit. Let's get started.
It was late Friday afternoon. Maya sat at her kitchen table, staring blankly at her phone screen. Her banking app showed a grim reality, a balance of exactly $100. That was all the money she had left to last her until next Thursday's payday. She had already planned out every single dollar. It would cover a basic grocery run for eggs, bread, and rice, plus her bus pass for the upcoming week. She was strictly living paycheck to paycheck, and there was absolutely no room for error. She was completely strapped for cash. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. It was a call from Leo, a longtime friend from college. Before Maya could even say hello, Leo's voice filled the speaker, sounding breathless and frantic. "Maya, please tell me you can help me," Leo pleaded, his voice shaking. "I'm in a terrible pinch. My landlord is threatening to evict me if I don't pay the remaining balance on my rent by tonight. I just need $100 to get him off my back. I swear I will pay you back first thing Monday morning." Maya's heart sank. She swallowed hard, looking at the double-digit balance on her screen. She knew she was in a tight spot herself, but the thought of her friend being kicked out onto the street made her feel sick with worry. Leo sounded truly desperate. "Are you absolutely sure you can return it on Monday?" Maya asked quietly, her voice full of hesitation. "I swear, Maya, without fail," Leo promised. With a heavy sigh, Maya opened her digital wallet and hit send. The digital transfer went through instantly. Maya watched her account balance drop to zero. A heavy weight settled deep in her stomach, making it hard to breathe. Within seconds, a text message from Leo flashed across her screen. "You are a lifesaver, Maya. I give you my word of honor you will get this back first thing Monday." Maya stared at the text, trying to convince herself that she had done the right thing. After all, what kind of friend would she be if she let Leo get evicted over $100? She replied with a simple message. "Please do, Leo. That was literally my last $100 until payday." Leo immediately sent back a string of praying hands emojis, repeating his promise. He swore across his heart that he would not let her down. For the rest of the evening, Maya tried to distract herself from the emptiness of her bank account. She walked to the kitchen and opened her pantry, taking a strict inventory of her food. She had half a box of cereal, a can of black beans, and some dry pasta. There would be no fresh vegetables, no morning coffee runs, and definitely no ordering takeout this weekend. She was completely locked into her apartment until Monday morning. Every time her mind drifted to her finances, she reminded herself of Leo's frantic voice on the phone. He was her friend, and friends protect each other when things get tough. She just had to survive the next 48 hours on pasta and tap water. Monday morning would come quickly, the money would return, and everything would go back to normal. At least that was what she kept telling herself as she went to sleep.
Saturday morning arrived with a gray, cloudy sky that matched Maya's mood. Her stomach rumbled, demanding a proper breakfast, but she settled for a small bowl of dry cereal. She carefully measured out the milk, realizing she only had enough for 2 more days.
Living under such tight restrictions meant she had to start pinching pennies in every way possible. She went around her small apartment, unplugging appliances and turning off lights to save a few cents on her electricity bill. By afternoon, her phone began to light up with notifications from her group chat. Her friends were planning a casual get-together at a local coffee shop, followed by a movie. "Are you coming, Maya?" one text read. Maya swallowed her pride and typed out a polite excuse, claiming she was feeling under the weather and needed to rest. In reality, she was tightening the belt as hard as she could, unable to afford even a $4 latte. It was exhausting to calculate the financial cost of every single movement. Sunday was even longer, a slow test of patience spent reading old books and drinking tap water to keep her hunger at bay. She felt incredibly frugal, almost to the point of misery, but she kept her spirits up by looking at the calendar. Only 12 hours remained until Monday morning. Leo would transfer the money, her account would be safely out of the red, and she could finally buy real groceries. She checked her banking app one last time before bed, seeing the frozen zero, and prayed that Leo was a man of his word.
Monday morning finally arrived, but there was no notification from Maya's banking app. She woke up early, checking her phone every 10 minutes while getting ready for work. By lunchtime, her stomach was growling loudly, and her anxiety was reaching a boiling point. She sent Leo a polite text message. "Hey Leo, just checking in. Let me know when you're able to send that transfer over." Hours passed, and the message remained on read with absolutely no response. By the time Maya got home from a long day of work, she was physically and emotionally exhausted. To distract herself from her racing thoughts, she mindlessly opened Instagram and began scrolling through her feed. The very first post at the top of her page made her entire body freeze. It was a photo posted just 30 minutes ago by Leo. The picture showed a beautifully lit high-end downtown sushi restaurant. In the center of the frame was a massive platter of premium sashimi alongside two expensive, colorful cocktails. Leo was smiling broadly in the background, looking completely relaxed and happy. The caption read, "Treating myself because life is short, plus a little celebration with the crew." Maya stared at the screen, her heart pounding violently against her ribs as absolute shock turned into white-hot anger. To add insult to injury, she noticed the location tag was an exclusive spot where a single roll cost at least $30. It was a completely jaw-dropping display of disrespect. She had spent her entire weekend sitting in the dark, eating dry cereal and drinking tap water so he wouldn't get evicted. Now she realized she had been completely taken for a ride. Her generosity had not saved a friend from homelessness. It had simply funded his luxury Sunday night dinner. Maya's hands shook as she stared at the glowing screen, the image of the expensive sushi platter burning into her mind. She closed Instagram, opened her messaging app, and began typing with furious speed. She deleted 3 angry drafts before forcing herself to type something calm, professional, and direct. "Hey Leo, I saw your post on Instagram. I'm glad you had a nice dinner, but I really need that $100 back tonight. As I told you, I am completely out of money until Thursday." She hit send and waited, her eyes locked on the chat screen. 2 minutes passed, then 10, then an hour. Finally, around 9 in the evening, Leo's typing bubble appeared. "Hey, sorry, just seeing this. I've been super busy," his message read, completely ignoring the tension. "There's actually a weird delay with my bank app today. It's glitching out. I'll circle back and check it tomorrow morning. Don't worry about it." Maya could feel her blood pressure rising at his casual, dismissive tone.
He was completely brushing her off, treating her urgent survival money like an afterthought. "Leo, this isn't something that can wait until tomorrow," she shot back immediately. "I literally have $0 in my account because I helped you." Another 30 minutes went by before Leo replied with a single short sentence. "I said I'll look into it tomorrow, Maya. It's just $100. Chill out." Maya stared at the words, realizing that the friend she had sacrificed her weekend for didn't care about her situation at all.
Maya spent a sleepless night tossing and turning, Leo's insulting text echoing in her mind. By Tuesday morning, she decided she needed to understand if Leo was truly experiencing a financial emergency or if she was just being blind to his character. She decided to reach out to Sarah, a mutual friend from their college group who usually kept in touch with everyone. Maya didn't want to start drama, so she kept her message subtle. "Hey Sarah, have you heard from Leo lately? He seemed to be going through a really rough patch last week." A few minutes later, her phone buzzed with a long reply from Sarah. "Oh, don't even get me started on Leo," Sarah wrote, clearly eager to vent. "I heard through the grapevine that he did the exact same thing to Mark last month, borrowing cash for an emergency and then buying a new jacket the next day. He has a serious history of doing this to people." Maya's stomach dropped as she read the messages, realizing a terrible pattern was emerging. Sarah continued typing. "He owes at least 3 people in our friend group money right now, and he just avoids their texts until they give up. A leopard can't change its spots, Maya. He uses everyone around him to fund a lifestyle he can't actually afford." The harsh truth hit Maya like a physical blow. She wasn't an isolated case, and Leo wasn't a desperate friend facing eviction. He was a manipulator who targeted the most generous people in his life. Armed with this new information, Maya realized she couldn't just sit back and wait for a bank transfer that was never coming. The realization that she had been manipulated left a bitter taste in Maya's mouth. She sat on her couch, staring at the walls of her quiet apartment, wrestling with her emotions. This situation was no longer just about the $100. It had become a matter of principle and self-respect. Part of her felt an immense emotional toll, tempting her to just drop the whole thing to avoid an uncomfortable conflict. She hated drama, and a voice in her head whispered that maybe it was easier to cut her losses and move on. But another, stronger voice reminded her that letting this go meant allowing Leo to walk all over her. She began weighing the pros and cons of pushing forward. If she demanded the money, it would undoubtedly destroy whatever was left of their long-term friendship. But as she looked around her kitchen at the cheap food she was forced to eat, she realized a painful truth. A friendship where she was used, disrespected, and lied to wasn't a friendship worth saving anyway. Accepting that Leo didn't value her was a bitter pill to swallow, but it cleared away her hesitation. She had been too soft, too understanding, and too quiet for the past 4 days. She decided she was done waiting around for him to do the right thing on his terms. It was time to take control of the situation and force Leo to face the consequences of his actions. On Wednesday afternoon, Maya decided she was done hiding behind text messages. She knew Leo usually spent his lunch break at a specific coffee shop near his office, so she took the bus downtown to meet him face to face. When she walked through the doors, she spotted him instantly, sitting by the window and typing on his laptop. Maya walked straight over to his table and sat down in the empty chair directly opposite him. Leo looked up, startled, his eyes widening in surprise before he quickly tried to flash a casual smile. "Oh, hey, Maya. What a surprise. I was actually just about to message you." "Save it, Leo," Maya interrupted, her voice calm, steady, and firm. "I'm not here to chat. I'm here because you have my money and I need it returned right now." Leo shifted uncomfortably in his seat, looking around the coffee shop to see if anyone was watching. "Look, Maya, I told you my app was glitching. You're drawing the line over nothing." "I am putting my foot down," Maya said, leaning forward slightly, her eyes locked onto his. "I lied about an eviction, you went out for an expensive dinner, and you have avoided my messages for days. This is non-negotiable. You are going to open your phone and you are going to transfer my $100 back to me before I leave this table." The absolute certainty in Maya's voice left no room for excuses, and for the first time, Leo realized he couldn't squirm his way out of this.
Leo looked around the coffee shop again, his face flushing red as he realized Maya was not going to back down. With a dramatic sigh, he pulled out his phone, tapping the screen with unnecessary force. "Fine, if you're going to make a mountain out of a molehill, here you go," he muttered, his voice dripping with attitude. A second later, Maya's phone vibrated in her hand, confirming that the $100 transfer had finally been received. Instead of apologizing, Leo locked his phone and glared at her, completely flipping the script to make himself look like the victim. "I can't believe you actually came all the way down here to ambush me over a tiny bit of cash," he said, shaking his head in disgust. "I thought we were close friends, but you're honestly being incredibly petty and selfish over a small amount of money." Maya felt a wave of disbelief hit her as she listened to him playing the victim, attempting to make her feel guilty for demanding her own money back. In the past, his gaslighting might have worked, making her apologize just to keep the peace. But after everything she had discovered, his words had absolutely no power over her. She stood up slowly, sliding her phone into her pocket, and looked down at him with total calm. "It was never about the amount of money, Leo," Maya said quietly, her voice steady and completely devoid of anger. "It was about respect, and clearly you don't have any for me." Without waiting for his response, she turned around and walked out into the afternoon sun, leaving him alone at the table.
Thursday morning arrived, and Maya's bank account was finally back in the black. She stood in the crowded grocery store, filling her basket with fresh vegetables, fruit, and chicken, feeling an incredible sense of relief. As she paid for her food, she looked at her phone and noticed Leo's name in her contacts list. Without a single moment of hesitation, she deleted his number and unfollowed him on all social media platforms. It was a quiet, peaceful ending to a stressful week, and she knew she was making the right choice to distance herself. Lending him that money had felt like a disaster, but she now saw it as a blessing in disguise. It had only cost her $100 to uncover Leo's true character and protect herself from future, much larger financial mistakes with him. She smiled to herself, remembering the old saying, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." Leo would never get the chance to fool her again, as she was officially moving on with her life. This experience had been an expensive lesson, but it taught her a powerful truth about boundaries. She realized that saying no to people who take advantage of you is the ultimate way to respect yourself. Maya walked home under the bright morning sun, feeling lighter, wiser, and completely ready for a fresh start.
What a powerful ending for Maya. She got her money back, but more importantly, she stood her ground and learned how to say no. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation like Maya's? Have you ever lent money to a friend who completely forgot to pay you back? Let me know your stories in the comments below.
You can find all the vocabulary of the story down below in the description box. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep improving your English with real-life drama, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Take care and keep learning. I will see you in the next story. Goodbye.